And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is
The sixth.
Right, the sixth episode of the ReadMe show.
He goes off for one episode.
I go for one episode and they can't even remember which episode it is, right? I know, right? Incompetence. But on the plus side, we have bought two things. We have two new things. That is a mic. And a new T-shirt. Because you see, you know how hard it is to shop at No Limit or wherever?
No.
They don't make proper size XL, trust me. WSO2, thank you. We went to Jaffna, we covered the opening of a new WSO2 office, and it turned out really well. So, like so. And I actually have something to wear for once. Right, now
that's
moving...
you that hinting that his size is...
XL, if you are listening or if you're watching this, my size is XL. I got $5.99 together road Ragama. You are free to send me clothing. I welcome everything. Right, so moving on to the subject, to today's topic of discussion rather, open data. Now, the current government, the government that was newly elected,
They've been talking a lot about how they want a data-driven...
Yes, they want the whole data-driven, they want data-driven decision making, and they have something that they want to push called the Right to Information Act. Now,
which is brilliant.
Which is good. Now, the previous government wasn't exactly forthcoming on data.
But
in fact,
they got started.
Chill. Let me tell the story. Now, they weren't. When I say they weren't forthcoming, I mean that if you call them and ask for data, they would likely send a white van and they would shoot you. The present government has a Right to Information Act. I've actually thought this out, right? The present government has a Right to Information Act. And one logical consequence of that, what the Right to Information Act is basically that any citizen has a right to government information. So the logical conclusion, the logical outcome of such an act would be a whole bunch of open data. So you don't want citizens calling the government at all times and asking for data. Hi, President Maitripala, can I know how many coconuts were grown in Ratnapura? That's highly unproductive. You can't get work done. So what you do is you make a website and you put your data on it and say, this is how many coconuts we destroyed in Ratnapura.
Which is basically what I said without all this.
She's not very eloquent. I'm sorry, forgive her. So essentially, open data is where the government puts up data sets on a public website and so on and so forth. And the previous government actually got started on this. Data.gov.lk, which I was very methodically getting to. Data.gov.lk exists. It has 89 data sets ranging from coconuts to criminals to the number of cars registered in the Western Province and so on and so forth.
But there's an interesting thing about all that information. Say, take the cars registered in the Western Province. We looked it up.
Let's look it up.
We looked it up and we got 14,000, but that was way back in 2012.
Yes, so there were 14,000 cars registered in the Western Province in 2012. This does not make my life better. This really does not impact my life in any way. You want to talk about 2012, we might as well be talking about the pyramids of ancient Egypt. It's about as useful. It's about as useful, honestly. So, some guy has to actually sit down, do their job and update all of this.
Yeah. Entering a lot of data is boring.
Yes, the point I'm making here is that, you see, open data is a big thing in a lot of countries in the world. If you look at the US data.gov, they have a huge amount of, they have like a phenomenal amount of data sets about practically anything that you want to.
Singapore, India?
Yes, Singapore, India. Well, the US isn't exactly a perfect example, hint, hint, Snowden. But if you take India, Singapore, all these countries have phenomenal amounts of data out about what the government sees, what it hears, essentially providing people with the information that goes through the government. And in return, the people can make use of this. For example,
India has a lot of hackathons.
Yes, India has a hackathon.
And
they have a national data conference, right? Where people group together to figure out what to do with all the data they have, how they can use data to make lives better.
How they can present it more efficiently.
And at Singapore, I think you told me about Singapore. Singapore has a lovely system where they throw data at people and ask them to come up with the story of Singapore in using data to interpret a story.
So basically that makes people apply that data.
Apply that data to something useful. So essentially,
it's something that we could do.
It's
something that we've already done here.
No, we haven't. It is something that should be done.
Hang on, not by the government. What I'm saying is, even with the publicly available information, such as it is, we have Mantri.lk.
Yes, we do have monthly, and actually we have seen brilliant examples of what happens when you give the government data. Sorry, when you give the public government data. Like we've seen 100 days.lk.
Yeah,
Which is Maithripala's personal promise tracker. He probably goes on, checks out 100 days.lk when he wants to see when he's falling back on a promise. And we have monthly.lk, which essentially scans all the parliament Hansards and tells stuff like which ministers procrastinated the most. This data is very useful. So what we want to say, it is logical for people, for private companies in particular, to use data that the government gives them. It is logical for people to take this data and to come up with cool application stuff that in turn can be used by private corporations to drive industry sectors further. I mean, this
and
is
efficiency,
this is win-win.
Really
Knowledge is power. This is win-win. So what I think is that Sharon here was making point that Sri Lanka in particular has a lot of hackathons. It is true, we are riding on a wave of hackathons and tech activities heading up towards north and all that. And I believe that the Sri Lankan government should tap into all of this industry activity, and that they should collaborate with all these hackathons here. Do something with this.
You're forgetting the most important thing.
Yeah.
You need a basis. All that information that's around on paper and stuff needs to be put online.
Well, somebody has to actually do their job and sit down and update a website. They're probably getting paid for it, aren't they?
Hopefully.
Hopefully they are. Public sector employees' salaries have risen. This is clear incentive for you to get off your ass and actually start updating that data.
Okay, so we've been talking about data being freely available and stuff.
Yes.
But what if data were in public places available to anybody? And I don't just mean the internet. There's this guy called...
Forgot his name.
Yes, I totally did.
Forgot his name. His name is in the description below.
Yeah.
His name is in the description because we couldn't remember it, so we googled it after we put it there, just for the record, I'm just saying.
But whatever it is, he started in New York and he decided that he was going to do an art project. And what was his art project? Sticking USBs in various public buildings, right? And the idea is to share information freely. What else he was sharing, I really don't want to know. There's all sorts of viruses you can
how
catch
does this
that
work?
way.
Like you go and stick a USB
Basically,
into like a hole in the concrete, and then some bloke comes and asks
actually
what made, and kicks your ass.
Oh
no, that's Australia.
You actually embed it in concrete.
Okay.
But you see, it started off in New York, but it's spread all over the world.
Hold on. Just get back to New York. You're telling me that in New York, you go and embed something in concrete, and no guy will come along and shoot you for it. I hear
It's done in the name of art. Anything goes in the name of
cops
art.
in America will shoot you for that.
They didn't shoot him, and he managed to.
He's still alive. That's something.
Yeah, this is called the Dead Drop Project.
The Dead Drop Project. Yeah.
You've never watched a spy movie in your life.
I have, but I can imagine what's gonna happen to this guy. But what kind of data does he share?
Basically, he doesn't share anything.
Okay.
Which is either really cool or really awful.
He goes and sticks a USB drive somewhere and just buggers off.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he does. He leaves a ReadMe on that.
See, Illuminati confirmed.
Letting people know that what his project is about and what they need to do is like basically just upload data. And they do it apparently for whatever reason. I have no idea what.
See, the thing is this: if I was anybody, I just go and upload like the internet's entire collection of publicly available viruses. God help anybody who got that USB stick. In fact, I'm coming to New York.
But see, it's not just in New York. There's a whole map on the project website, which again will be googled and added later.
It is with great regret that we mourn. I had this eulogy planned. Never mind. Joystiq is dead. You have no idea what this is.
I know it has something to do with gaming, obviously.
Right. So Joystiq was essentially a games journalism site. Come on, don't be like, it's $1 million industry.
Yeah, fair
See,
enough.
Gaming is a multi-billion.
Alright, correction. Gaming is a multi-billion
Banuk is getting all worked up there.
Slow motion. Right. Essentially, Joystiq started out in 2004. And it, so far, honestly, Joystiq has been one of the best gaming journalism sites
So
on the web.
basically, when Yuda was young and innocent, it was big.
It was
continued.
big. It continued to be big, and honestly, it was
So
was
why they
brilliant.
kill it off?
Pardon?
Why they
It's
kill it?
AOL. That's stupid. There's a good reason they're AOL and not Google.
Okay.
Okay.
Awkward silence.
Right. Awkward silence. But the point is, I might be biased against this, but I highly disagree with killing off Joystiq, because what they did was brilliant. In the face of Gamergate and all this other crap, these guys actually managed to keep up their ethics. They didn't do top 10 lists. They didn't do 10 things you might not know about StarCraft 2 or all that horseshit. They actually wrote good content. They wrote beautiful stuff. They storified games and they made it important. They built a community, and they had like 500 million. Is it? Yes, it's sad. It's really sad.
He's
They've
terribly,
shut it
tragically sad. But if you want to see what it looked like before it was dead, you can check out the Wayback Machine.
Oh yeah. The Wayback Machine is basically the archive.org's way of archiving the entire internet. They started really ambitious, right? In 1996, some bloke sat down and said, we are going to take snapshots of every website on the public web.
Now, if only someone could do that with all our government data, that would be awesome.
We'll take snapshots of horse turds. It will be more productive. Essentially what they've been doing since 1996 is they have been archiving the pages, not all the content, but most of the front page content from most websites around the world. And say you want to see how Microsoft looked like in 1996, you can. How Apple looked like in 2001,
So basically what you do is you go to the site, you type in the site that you want to see, you get a calendar which lets you pick out the date.
Yeah, now if you want to see how awesome ReadMe looked in 2012, you can. I'm just saying you should.
He's just saying that because he looked younger and less, well, you know what I mean.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us make personal comments in a public show.
So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, click like, and to stay updated with what we're doing, click subscribe, and to check out what happened last week, click the link.
Why is my face hidden?
We
It
don't
should
like
have always been hidden.
It's causality, cause and effect. White van and black death, or whatever it's
Quit
called.
whining. They have websites with data on it.
Shh. Shh. Right. So as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted.
Make it easier, make your life easier.
There's a pink guy holding a black pole pointed at my face,
USBs in time.
flagging and playing. Right. So I can imagine a lot of porn making its way onto this.
I have no idea what's on it.
Is it regulated?
No.
It can't be. It's art.
It's